I'm Mellissa Ruth. I'm a software consultant for Software One, but in my spare and additional time, I work with the Diversity and Inclusion Consortium. So I came to Maximoworld to share what we've done with the Diversity and Inclusion Consortium and to really just start sharing the message of what diversity is and what it isn't, because there's lots of ideas, but there's not a lot of meat behind the bones, if you will. So on Monday, we ran a 4-hour workshop called An Exercise in Diversity, also known as a hackathon. So the goal and the objective was to have everyone experience what diversity is like in the sense of problem solving and what advantages that brings to the table. So we had 23-ish people, about 23. And what we do is we divided them into groups based on what we could see. So primarily male versus female. So we had one table of men and 2 tables of women. And then we gave them a problem to solve and gave them 30 minutes to come up with a solution. And then secondarily, we split them up into groups where they were mixed, male and female, and gave them the same problem and said, now give us your results. So it was really fascinating to watch in the beginning, and these kinds of exercises are always fascinating to watch because you get a slightly different result every time. But it was really interesting when we had the female tables versus the men tables. You had a group, both female tables, they started talking immediately, right? The problem was interesting, and they were all talking about their own experiences and things they had experienced about the problem, and then they were all throwing ideas in, kind of like into the table, right? So they could all discuss and come up with a plan. Whereas the male table, they all started to think introspectively about what the problem was. And you could see some of them writing down some thoughts they wanted to share, and then slowly but surely, a couple people would take the lead, and then they would start, hashing it out a little bit here and a little bit there. And so right off the bat, you could see a difference when they started putting their flowcharts up on the walls, where you had the women groups with lots of ideas and the men's groups were very more focused. And so then we split them back into their diverse groups, and we said, now take the same problem and discuss and come up with a plan. And so what we got was more granular answers. And instead of having all these ideas, we had 3 or 4 ideas that were more specific and more detailed about what we were actually going to do to solve that problem. So it was very interesting to watch from those 2 perspectives. I think we got better results with the second group when they were diverse in nature. It was also interesting when you had in the men's group and in the women's group, we had men who were fathers and men who didn't have kids, and we had the same with the women. And in all of those groups, they said the parents talked about the experiences with their children, and the younger people in the room learned something from their experiences. And so even that diversity of age was seen almost immediately, and it changed how they thought about how they're going to solve the problem. Yeah, so if you're coming to IMC, I want you to be paying attention to whenever you see something called a hackathon or diversity, get involved, be one of the messengers to take it back to your community. One of the things that everyone in the group said was there were different aspects in this experience that they hadn't thought about before, even though some of them were from HR and some of them were very experienced in the diversity world. They said, I hadn't thought about how inherent bias plays a role, or how diversity is more than what we can see on people's faces, right? And so everyone learned something, everyone had a good time, and it was not dull at any moment. So definitely look for that and sign up, because we need everyone's opinions, everyone's thoughts.